Hello everyone and welcome back to another video. So over the weekend, Warren Buffett did a $9.7 billion deal with Dominion Energy. And this is kind of big news because this is his first real deal since everything went down with the illness. And up to this point, he hasn't really been doing too much with his cash. So in this video, I just want to go over the Dominion Energy deal and kind of just explain my thoughts on it. And then at the end of the video, I just want to talk about if us as investors should be following Warren Buffett and buying in this crazy market. So with all that being said, let's just hop right into it. Okay, so first let's start off with Warren's Dominion acquisition. And here we have an article right from Yahoo Finance, and in this article they are talking about Berkshire Hathaway. And this says, now the deal to buy substantially all of Dominion Energy's natural gas transmission and storage assets for $4 billion, along with the assumption of $5.7 billion in debt, ranks as its biggest acquisition in more than 4 years. Further down in the article, it says Berkshire is amassing more than 7,700 miles or 12,400 kilometers of natural gas storage and transmission pipelines and about 900 billion cubic feet of gas storage in the deal with Dominion. Warren Buffett's conglomerate will also acquire 25% of Cove Point. With this transaction, Buffett has ended his period of relative silence on the acquisition front since the illness. What we can take away from this is that Berkshire didn't actually invest in Dominion Energy, as they purchased no shares or equity in the business. What they did is they bought their assets and a portion of their long-term debt, and the total amount for these two was $9.7 billion. The initial reaction to this deal from the investing community is that the deal is somewhat underwhelming, especially considering that this deal is only using up about 7% of Berkshire's $137 billion cash pile. This is among other concerns that people are starting to have. Let me read some quotes directly from another press release. The move comes as utilities face increasing pressure from local governments, investors, and environmentalists to quit fossil fuels. While long heralded as a cleaner alternative to coal and heating oil, gas is drawing stiff oppositions from left-leaning state lawmakers, making it increasingly difficult to build pipelines and other infrastructure. Another quote says, given the bent towards decarbonization efforts in the country, the move away from natural gas, and investor demand for more simplified utility structures, we believe this is absolutely the correct move for Dominion to make. This is what an analyst had to say about this acquisition. So from what I am reading, people and analysts are saying that Berkshire is making a bad move because of climate change and the government and investor pressure for businesses to move away from fossil fuels. The acquisition of Dominion's natural assets tells us that Berkshire is still bullish on natural gas, despite climate change and the rise of renewable energy. In another Yahoo Finance article, it says, Berkshire is digging deeper into a business that's been facing increasing scrutiny amid the push for energy companies to shift away from fossil fuels. In its own statement on Sunday, Dominion Energy cited its target to reach net zero emissions by 2050. So Dominion is getting rid of their natural gas assets because they want net zero emissions by 2050, whereas on the contrary, Berkshire is taking them on. And to be honest, I kind of agree with the skeptics here, because I have openly said on my channel that I think oil and gas is becoming a sunset industry, and the move away from it will only accelerate as global warming intensifies. However, this will not happen immediately, and Berkshire purchased natural gas assets, not coal or crude oil. Natural gas is seen as the lesser of these evils, and it is projected not to go anywhere. Let's take a look at natural gas as a product and as an industry. So here I have this article, and in this article, we can see the differences between natural gas and crude oil and what they're both used for. Crude oil is used for gasoline, heating oil, and diesel fuels. Other products such as plastics, jet fuel, propane, residential fuel, and asphalt. On the other hand, natural gas is used for electrical power generation, residential heating, commercial heating, and industrial production. So we can see that natural gas is used for essential utilities in today's world. For example, it's what we burn to heat our homes. It is not used to create plastics like crude oil is. And this is again why natural gas is seen as the lesser of these evils. Next, we can take a look at this chart of the current usage of different energy sources and their projections to 2050. We can see that natural gas and coal are are clearly being phased out over the next 30 years. They won't completely disappear, but the percentage of the energy we get from them is on a downward trend. If we take a look at natural gas, however, we can see that we currently generate about 37% of our energy from it, and by 2050, it is projected that we will generate 36%. This means that natural gas will see its share of electricity generation drop by only 1% over the next 30 years. We can see, however, that renewables are currently at 19% and are projected to hit 38% by 2050. This right here again is why I am so bullish on renewable energies. However, this is not a video for that. If we take a look at another slide from the same website, we can see that crude oil production is peaking basically right now, whereas natural gas is on an upward trend all the way to 2050. The bottom right image shows us that natural gas exports to the global economy from the US are projected to increase rapidly until about 2030 and then start tapering off from there. This article right here explains why US exports of natural gas are projected to continue growing. The IEA's annual projections indicate global energy demand will continue to increase as the world grows and reduces poverty. In its 2019 report, the IEA projected that by 2040, natural gas demand up by 36%. Many nations are looking to natural gas for affordable and reliable electrical power generation that produces lower emissions than coal. So countries are switching to natural gas because it is better for the environment than simply burning coal. This is why the US natural gas exports are going to shoot up so dramatically over the next decade, is because many countries are switching to natural gas for their electricity generation. The total global energy is also anticipated to grow by 50% by 2050, meaning that we are going to need to produce even more energy than we are currently today. This simply means that even though natural gas's share of the electricity market is going to remain at 36%, the total size of that market is going to increase by 50%, meaning the world will still need more natural gas than we are currently producing right now for the next 3 decades to come. What I am getting at is, even though climate change is an issue and governments are pressuring companies to become carbon neutral, all projections show that natural gas isn't going anywhere and that the overall output is actually going to increase. Yes, we need to move away from fossil fuels, but we're not going to anytime soon, and in the meantime, the natural gas segment is still growing all over the world, and it's projected to continue growing all the way until 2050. Warren Buffett himself also had this to say about the acquisition. We are very proud to be adding such a great portfolio of natural gas assets to our already strong energy business. So clearly, Warren is happy with Berkshire's new purchase, and if we go to Berkshire's 2019 earnings, we can see that their energy business brought in $2.84 billion in earnings. Keep this number in mind, because from this, we can see why Warren is happy about their new acquisition. So further down in this same article, it reads, "It's not something that's going to move the needle from the balance sheet standpoint, but it'll produce several hundred millions of dollars a year in net income to Berkshire," said Shivyots Palak. That's no paltry sum. That adds up over time. The key here is the amount of net income that this will generate for Berkshire. They say that it is several hundred million a year. So let's just assume about $700 million annually. First off, this means that Berkshire just increased the earnings of their energy business by just under 25%. Because remember, they produced $2.84 billion in 2019. So from now on, they have an additional $700 million from this acquisition. This means that Berkshire will most likely be producing around $3.5 billion in earnings annually from their energy business now. Second, if we divide the total money spent by Berkshire, which was that $9.7 billion, by the $700 million in earnings that the acquisition will generate, we get 13.8. This means that Berkshire bought these assets at a price to earnings ratio of 13.8, or in other words, it will take them 13.8 years to get a return on this investment. After that, this asset will have paid for itself and start producing pure cash for Berkshire. In 13.8 years, it will be 2034, so this is about the time that the purchase will have paid itself off. As we can see from our charts, that's still 16 years of growth in the natural gas industry that Berkshire will have to capitalize on. This is a long-term play for Berkshire, which is exactly the type of investor that Warren is. He doesn't focus on getting a quick return by throwing money into hot stocks. He waits for deals to come that make sense, have a high probability of working out well, and are good for the long-term business of Berkshire. Now, let's move on to the second part of the video where I talk about if us as investors should be following Warren and purchasing stocks or waiting while the stock market roars back up. In the same Yahoo Finance article, it says this: I'm inspired to see that given that he's bearish, he's still willing to make acquisitions where he thinks it makes sense and where it meets Berkshire's hurdle points. From this, we can see that even though Warren is being cautious and he has had a bearish undertone on stocks right now, he is still looking for opportunities and he is not afraid to pounce on them. My stance is this. We shouldn't let the overall market dictate what we do with our investments. Warren himself says that he has never bought or sold a business because the overall market is high or is low. What we need to be doing is focusing on the individual business opportunities. Just because the overall market is high doesn't mean that there is zero opportunities out there. Warren's purchase of these assets is a clear example of that. And yes, this investment was outside of the stock market, but it is still Warren looking for opportunities in a very strange economy. He found this opportunity by focusing on the long-term bigger picture as well, and this is very much a value investment because he found a wonderful business looking to sell wonderful assets for nothing more than political reasons. There is absolutely nothing wrong with the assets or the natural gas industry, as we have just seen. Berkshire simply found an opportunity and they executed on it. As investors, this is exactly what we should be doing as well, which is why I made my video yesterday outlining the stocks I am watching and waiting to purchase. The market is crazy right now, and yes, there are many businesses that I think are in fact heavily overvalued. However, I am still looking for great opportunities and trying to find new investments for myself while also building my watch list. So if you feel like you're sitting on the sidelines, then consider building your own watch list and start coming up with prices at which you'll be buying the businesses. If you would like to see how I personally find my price targets, then I would recommend watching this video right here on my channel. And if you want to learn more about Warren Buffett's investing and how to apply his investment strategy to today's market, then consider looking into my full investment course on my website. The link will be in the description of this video. So to summarize this whole video, yes, the market is pretty crazy right now. But just because the market is kind of insane doesn't mean that there is zero opportunities out there. So as investors, what we can take away from Warren Buffett is to continue looking for good business opportunities, even despite of everything going on. And what we really need to do is focus on finding great individual businesses and not what the overall market is doing. We also need to focus on the long term and not just the next 1 to 2 years. The fact is that the world is going to get past the illness, and one day this will be something of the past. So what I am personally trying to do is find great businesses that are going to make it to the other side and continue growing afterward. And I am keeping my eyes open for all of these different opportunities. And if you would like to follow me on this journey, then consider subscribing to my channel. No, but seriously, that is going to wrap up the video. And if you guys did enjoy this video or you found it helpful or insightful or whatever, then please consider leaving a like on it. Leaving a like really helps out my channel and I really appreciate it. And if you do want to stick around and see more content like this, then please consider subscribing to my channel because that would be pretty awesome. But with all that being said, thank you so much everyone for watching, and I really hope to see you again in my next one.